It's been a while since I've done one of these. This is one of the RPG reviews for a role playing game that is useful for developing mental health and has been used even in therapy. Specifically, this game was used recently by me in a social skills development group for teenagers that I do every Saturday. And so I'm going to show you what this is. This is an RPG known as Mission Impossible. Get it? Because there's raccoons. You get to play in this 3 players, and ideally you can modify it for more if you want to. I could, but we happen to have 3, and then a GM, which was me in this case. You get to play as the world's greatest secret agent, who is in reality 3 raccoons in a trench coat. So you can kind of see that if you look at that. One of the cool things about this is it has really fun art in it that you can use. It was written by Stephen Hams and illustrated by Tuna Seti, that's C-E-T-I. You can find this on Drive-Thru RPG or many other places. It was really cool because it was just a little bit for the PDF, and then I, at a local print shop, had them print out a color thing for a few bucks. It's not a ton of pages. So I'm going to tell you how to play it, and then some pros and cons review, and then how do you use this for helping with counseling or for mental health. Well, this game is really, really cool because it takes minimal setup and has lots of randomizers. When you set up the adventure, the GM can do a lot of it while you're going, if you're a comfortable storyteller and improviser in that way, or it can help you to set it up before. You roll dice, and as you roll dice for the setup, that is, you'll roll a dice and it'll tell you which number you get goes through which section, and then you get little prompts for traps, for who the villain is, and it's got a whole host of comedic things that are in there as well. This is one of those games where there are no hit points. People don't really die or anything. It's meant to be a collaborative storytelling for fun. This would be good for lots of different ages. That's already jumping into the pros, but couple of dynamics. The players don't use dice, they use coins. They can flip 1 or 2 coins depending on how much risk they want to take. And there's also a dynamic in there for pre-calculating the risk and reward of an action so that people can decide if it's worth it and how much they want to risk. There are pre-character sheets, and if you can utilize the strengths of your particular character, if you're the raccoon who's really strong, if you're the computer hacker, if you're the mastermind, if you can convince the GM that your strengths come into play, it reduces the risk and increases the potential reward. And so that's a little something you can do for each choice that you make. Has a couple of cool things in here where the raccoons, as they're acting like humans, there's a stress meter for how stressed you get as a raccoon. For a failed flip of a dice, you get more stressed. If you get too stressed out, you can't act like a human anymore, and you have to stop and chill out. And there's a couple ways you can do that. If all the raccoons flip out at the same time, you lose the game. There's also a meter that the GM uses. Once again, when there is something that you do that is raccoon in nature and non-human, humans start to notice you. If they get all the way to blatantly busted at the top, they call animal control. And then you have to deal with that. So the pros and cons of this game, it's great. I don't know. There's not a lot of cons. I guess if you were going to say cons, it is somewhat directive. You could plan and make it and go beyond it. It does direct the outcome, which is also kind of a pro if you're not looking to have a ton of setup time. For example, it separates it into a short opening caper, similar to the opening of a James Bond film, sort of a thing. And then you get into the main, how you break in and infiltrate the mission. You do the mission, and then, you get out and whatever. So it is a directive, which can be both a pro and a con. You can use it to inspire your own kind of thing if you choose to. So not really a lot of cons. The fun thing is I spent about, just a few minutes thinking about the setup. Mostly it was making sure that I had some coins and a little whiteboard mat that we could draw the thing on. And so that was really fun. Clinical applications. I brought this into the social skills group, and it just happened we had the right number of people that day to have a run through of this. So a couple of things that were really good for the young people is that they have to plan together. They have to coordinate together, because for part of this, you are playing as collaborative feet, midsection, and head. I think you could wedge a 4th raccoon in there if you really wanted to. Other than that, you'd have to make up new characters or do something clever to add to that. So I guess that would be a potential con, is it's really like a 4-player, maybe 5, counting the GM. So you have that kind of a natural limitation, although you could always double up on the GM or, do something like that. So, but not over prepping allowed me in that role to be reactive to their input, which gave them a lot of power in the storytelling. They also had to collaborate, like I said, and that meant that we were able to process who was more of the leader amongst them, whether they chose that or not, or who acted more like kind of in the leadership role or the follower role, and how well they were collaborating. As always, I like to mention, when you're doing this kind of a thing in a learning environment, the reason I use RPGs with social skills is that it's way more effective to have a fun thing that requires you to communicate. When we used to do a lot of lessons and things for this group, when I first started doing it, it was nowhere near as effective. Not only was it more boring for the kids, it wasn't as effective in how much they internalize social skills. So I would definitely recommend this if you're using this for camaraderie building, to be funny, to get some kind of communication building and rapport building with maybe your kid, or just if you're looking to have some fun. This is also a fairly good intro if people are willing to do RPG, but they're overwhelmed by a lot of rules heavy type of things. If you're going to have a game night and people are sort of on the fence of that kind of thing, you could use this. So Mission Impawsible, it's good. And it really, really worked well for that too. If you are interested in learning more about RPGs for therapeutic work, you can go to dwighthurst.com/RPG. And that's where you can see the reviews of these and how to kind of apply these into your own mental and emotional health, as well as some groups that I'm building, not only for social skills for teens, but also for adults to be able to process trauma, addiction, self-improvement, anxiety, lots of different things, putting together some groups that actually utilize RPG play. And there's lots of different benefits to that. And you can see that. You can also see all these review videos and some real live playthroughs that I had with some friends of mine to help show some examples as well. Thanks for watching. Always as well, tune into the Broken Brain podcast to learn more about what is going down in that neck of the woods of the internet. Bye-bye.